It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two. Let's do this.
Nod of approval from today's guest. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. That's what she said. It's a good thing. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
And our super producer,
Riley Bray.
And because somebody requested it, Nova the Wonder Dog is with us today.
Yay.
They said that Nova should have a credit. Okay, let's not waste any time because today it's a special L-Files episode. We are going to read your listener files. And to do that, we brought in a very special guest.
Yes,
oh
we did.
My gosh, I can't believe she has allowed herself to stoop so low. Tonight's guest is an actor, comedian, writer, and a singer-songwriter. You can hear her voice in the soon-to-be-released Trolls World Tour.
Yeah.
And in the new podcast, Cut and Run. Please, welcome back to the Clubhouse. Club Scouts, it's Rachel Bloom.
Yay!
Yeah.
Welcome back. What an intro.
Also, Patreon shout out to Rachel Bloom.
Oh, yeah.
You're
A
welcome. It's
true
my pleasure.
Amazing.
patron of the BCC. Rachel, how have you been?
I'm good. I was saying this is probably going to be my last podcast before I give birth. I'm just over 7 months pregnant.
Oh,
Wow.
We're so excited.
You know, unless my baby starts one in utero, which would be awesome.
Honestly, with the genes that run in your family,
Yeah.
it's quite possible.
Come out with a Twitter handle. My brain is working.
Oh,
My brain is starting to work slower.
This is good because you don't actually. We're going to provide all of it for you
okay,
tonight.
great. And
Yep.
it's just going to be me judging people's most innermost emotional experiences with paranormal, and me being like, "That's not true."
Yeah.
I
You get to just be judgy.
I got to give you a heads up. Some of them are a little dark. You might. I think a little bit.
Yeah, there's some scary ones.
If you had been a child, well, you were a child. If podcasts had been around when you were a child, do you think you would have started a podcast?
Absolutely.
Because
Yes.
when we were little, we would do radio shows where we'd put a cassette tape in a boombox and just record ourselves being DJs.
When I was young, I used to, when in detention, I would have this little microset recorder, and I loved it. And I would do two things. So I would beatbox on it, and then I would do the chipmunks. So I would record a slow thing and then do the fast forward, and it would automatically turn your voice into like a chipmunk. Those are the two things I did, but it was awesome.
I had a talk boy like in Home Alone.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Those
Home Alone
things are
2,
great.
Lost in New York.
Well, no, in Home Alone 1.
Oh, did he have one in
He
Home
had
Alone
a talk
1?
boy in Home Alone
Yeah.
1.
Oh,
yeah.
you're right. It was.
Animal.
You're
I
right.
wanna
Stand
say-
corrected. I'm so
They
sorry.
had a talk boy, or they also had a talk girl, which is just a talk boy, but it's pink.
It's whatever you say, it comes back and it's like, I like boys now.
Those things flew off the shelf because of that movie.
I'm not as good at
Yeah, I
math.
was just about to do a maths, but there you go. You got it.
Rachel,
80 cents on the dollar. There we go.
what would your podcast have been when you were a child? What were the important topics to you as a little girl?
Oh God, I'm wincing at the thought of if the internet and social media had been around when I was a child, because
Yeah.
I loved attention and I was very bizarre. And I just would have been one of those kids who went
magical
viral for
combination.
doing something weird, and it would have scarred me for life.
Yep.
I probably would have had like a Broadway podcast. Oh, I probably would have done is I would have probably had a podcast with like the other uncool kids in my school where we'd shit on the popular kids.
Oh, nice.
What do we call that podcast?
The popular kids.
The Popcast.
I was going to say shit on the,
The
pops.
Popcast. That's too clever.
Yeah.
Too
Wait,
clever,
what
yeah.
is it?
Shit on the pops.
I have like somewhere in
That sounds
sixth
like
grade.
you're sitting on Daddy's lap and doing some
Oh.
very
Have other connotations.
Right. we'll stick with popular.
Pops is like not sexy. Like daddy's like, oh yeah,
Daddy's
daddy.
sexy, yeah. Oh, daddy.
Call me Pops.
Oh, pops.
Like that's if I was watching a porn and someone was like pops.
yeah, I've never heard pops in a
fuck is
porn.
happening?
Yeah, right.
I can't even handle it when they're like daddy. I'm like, oh, this is
God.
gross. Goodbye. Oh, well.
There you go.
This is
Year's off to a great start.
Yeah, this is really close to going off the cliff right away. Rachel, it's been 2 years.
Since I was on?
Since you were on the show. Can you believe it, guys?
That
We've
is
been doing
crazy.
this for 2
Happy
years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let me ask you something. We know you're a skeptic,
Yeah.
or maybe if this is your first episode, you may not know. But Rachel, your personal paranormal history is
Pretty blank.
pretty blank, pretty skeptical.
Been open to it. I've been open to it at times in my life. Still pretty blank. I mean,
How
I
have
guess,
things changed? Have they changed in 2 years since being on our show?
I mean, no, I had a pretty look. I would say I was at a kind of like I was at a resort in the desert, and I had a pretty what seemed like it was accurate numerology reading. I did it for
tell us.
funsies. I mean, I say accurate. I don't remember most of the things they said at this point. I have it somewhere. I have the recording of the session somewhere, and then I have the like breakdown. But I remember thinking like this is really interesting and specific, but at the same time, I don't know, you're creative, you're going through this. Like I was at a high end it was Canyon Ranch in Arizona, which is like
I
it was
think
like
I
us and a
remember when
bunch
you
of
guys
old
went on this
people.
trip.
Yeah, and so it's like a place where you go to like get healthy. We thought it was going to be a resort. We didn't realize it was like a place where you go to like detox from drugs. Because we just did it. We had a gift certificate there, and so we went on like a vacation. We get there and we were like, "There's no alcohol, and the servings are like the size of your finger." Like, so it was. So we were in rehab for a couple days essentially, and so I was like, I might as well. Get a numerology
Let's
reading.
get in the rehab lifestyle.
It was really weird because they also featured Botox. It was a place that features like numerology readings, crystal sound baths, which I love.
Those are
I love
great.
a good sound bath. That's the thing is, I got an amazing crystal sound bath there, and for those of you who don't know, it's hitting a bunch of different singing bowls and crystals, and it goes like wah wah. It's a Tibetan singing bowl, and the woman was like, "This cured me of my cancer."
Wow.
I really like being surrounded by
That's
sound.
how you got pregnant.
And that's how I got pregnant. I've been pregnant for 2 years. So that was interesting.
They hit on some stuff though that made you kind of be like, "Oh, there's something to that."
Well, yeah, or like, what happens to be accurate?
Yeah.
Good guess.
What
But
they ask for your birth date? Did they ask for
Yeah.
time of birth or anything like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
everything. And it was, I have the chart somewhere, and it seemed pretty accurate. But look, I don't really believe in horoscopes, but yet my whole life I felt like I happened to follow what describes an Aries very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you know where my skepticism comes from the fact that I think that for a lot of my life I was I felt rudderless and almost too guided by like my emotions and what I thought was like my quote unquote instinct, right? And so what made me a better person was to get more logical and to question the things that other people were telling me, the kind of pseudosciences that people told me were true. And so with me, it's very like reactionary against like ways that I felt I wasn't living up to my true potential.
Yeah, I feel like what I took away from the episode you were in, which you can go back and find, it's like episode 10 or 11
Yeah, it's
around
early
there.
Coral Castle.
But that's right, the Coral Castle. Is I felt like something in you. You became very proactive. It like becoming a skeptic made you really kind of find your.
I took
voice,
that away
which I thought
too.
was really
She
cool.
said she
Yeah.
wanted to, it helped you take an ownership over your life as opposed to like handing it off to some deity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was hand in hand. Look, becoming a skeptic was hand in hand with like becoming an atheist for me, and it was all the idea of like I'm not going to live my life assuming that something has my back, assuming that if I fuck up, that the universe will right itself. I'm going to. What if I took full responsibility for my actions at any given point? And for me, it made me a better person. I think in the ways that I honestly hear some people describe when they become like a born again Christian, they similarly take responsibility for themselves and are kinder to others. So it's interesting because it's why I think like I consider it part of my spirituality, like my skepticism.
No,
and my secularism. It feels as deeply spiritual as a religion, and I can't
it's
really.
paradoxical. I totally get
Yeah.
it.
It's tough too because we work in a career where I feel there's a lot of bullshit thrown in about like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, or like even the language they use, like star, like movie star, like it's all this like really feels like preordained, destined thing. You have people saying like you're never gonna make it, or like, you know. So there's this whole thing, I think, like I've been working out even in just like therapy and coming to this realization of like, oh, I don't need to ask permission or wait for someone to give me a call to go do what I want to do. You know, I still think I fall even under that mentality of like, well, it's all luck. It's all
if that phone's
waiting.
gonna ring, it's gonna ring.
You know what I mean?
But that's kind of true. I mean,
it is to a degree.
Yeah, but it's not in the way that you think it is. It's I think embracing that you're powerless is the health. Embracing that you're powerless when it comes to getting roles and when it comes to going on auditions and even getting like offers is, I know, by the way, this dog's been adorable this entire time. I think that is, I don't know, I learned a lot sitting behind a casting table because when and I still will go on like auditions occasionally, but for a while I was an auditioning actor. And the thing that drove me crazy about it was that you'd go in and you'd do, you know, you do your art in a way that you couldn't look at after. Like when you write, you can look at it after and say, this is what I've written.
Yep.
When you have a script, a sample script that you're sending around. When you act, it's just this one-time thing that you're like, I don't know.
When you get no feedback, well, as soon as you walk out the door, they're talking about you behind your back. So you have to have your own barometer of your experience in the room, and it can be frustrating, you know.
Right, and what it is such a fundamental lack of control, and oftentimes has so little to do with your quote unquote talent or ability. I mean, I used to see my own talent as very binary. Like, and I'm also a musical theater kid, so I would compare my literal talent, and that really just like, how does your voice sound? How high can you kick? Like to other people. And then when you actually sit behind a table, you realize, oh, talent is not the right way to describe what is happening in any given audition. It's more like, do I buy what this person is saying? And then even then it's, what are you looking for? It's just inherently powerless. To be an auditioning actor, there is a lack of power because you are at the mercy, for lack of a better way of saying it, of the people who have written the script, who are casting it. And so I understand why it makes, I mean, I went through this. Like, it makes sense why you're suddenly like, oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, I need to be in classes. Oh my God, I mean, actually being in classes really helped me because I watched myself get on tape for an audition the first time, and I was like, oh, I'm a bad auditioner. Okay,
really?
Oh yeah. I got way better as an auditioner from doing. If any actors are out there and you haven't done an on-camera class where you have to watch yourself audition on camera, I highly recommend it.
Oh my God.
It's great.
I've been on the other side of the casting room for Bryce. I cast Bryce in something.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Did
we ever talk about this on the podcast?
I think we've mentioned it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. He came in and did it. He guest starred on an episode of What I Like About You that I wrote. And I was sitting there with the showrunner and the producers.
They let you sit in on auditions?
Yeah. It was wild. And everyone came in, and honestly, most of them were not good. But this was also a particular thing because he had to be old enough to look like he was in his 20s, but also young enough to like believably play a high school kid, because the reveal was that she was dating a high school kid, the Jenny Garth, and she didn't know that.
I did that same role on Gilmore Girls.
Did
too.
you really?
Old enough but young enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
So he came in, did it. He was great. And I actually thought he was like the best person. And when he walked out, I was like, I mean, he's clearly the best one. And our showrunner was like, you're right. He's cute. He's cute.
That's just not. And then what? It's like, what does that have to do with anything? He's cute.
That was it.
So did you get it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess
okay,
so.
great.
And now we're here. So maybe there is something to all this fate
Weird
stuff.
But I just think, I mean, I've watched you audition twice. I've improvised with you in an audition. You're a great auditioner.
Oh, well, thank you.
At least from what I saw.
That was one of my better auditions.
You were very good.
Thank you. You guys made it very easy.
The first time I saw you, though, we weren't even in the room. That was just a good tape.
No. Oh, well, thanks.
But so do you have a sense now of like when you're like, I had a good audition?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Every time. every time.
But you've been doing it for. I mean, my experiences that I'm thinking of. The way I got good at auditioning was a combination of taking those classes finally, and then one pilot season, Crazy X was about to basically get ordered to pilot, but we hadn't been there yet, so I went in for pilot season. And I went in not giving a shit.
Yeah.
And I got asked to test for 2 different things.
Damn.
Yeah,
and it was just
key.
like, because the key to the not giving a shit thing, and this is why auditioning sucks, is that it has nothing to do with like, I don't care about this, I don't want it. You go in just relaxed, and so you can be yourself, and you can let your natural impulses, you can behave like a person.
Right.
And when you go in nervous somewhere, you suddenly don't behave like a person. And it's why apparently, I found this out and I was so angry. A lot of actors take beta blockers before they go to auditions, which is like, it's a thing so basically it makes your heart steady. So even if you're nervous, your heart rate remains steady, which I think is such a fucking cheat.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I guess we could all be taking beta blockers.
I've never done that, but maybe next time I test, I will, because that's when I get nervous.
The thing that they put, also the pomp and circumstance of like going in for testing for all these people, it's just like, do you like them or not?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Why do we have to meet? Why did 8,000 executives have to watch this person? That's not the way it actually works on a film set. You get multiple takes on a film set. Like, anyway.
It's a strange business.
It's
all. I think it's just destiny. It's just destiny. It's in the stars.
This whole conversation was about the fact that it's not.
I know. I'm just,
but I think
joking.
that's why, like, I think whatever makes you the best version of yourself, and for me to be skeptical makes me the best version of myself. Also because when I do engage the parts of me that like are interested in the paranormal, and there's a huge part of me that is still, I get tremendously afraid of the dark again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I really don't like that.
Yeah, that's primal.
It's very, like the other night I was, what was happening? It was New Year's Eve, and there were a lot of fireworks, and the dog was going crazy. So we put on this like, I went on YouTube. It was like white noise soothes dogs during fireworks, and we had it on the whole night. And it was like the sound of rain that put us to sleep. And I had half an earplug in, and so like, and then I woke up to get a glass of water or something, and I swear I walked out of the bedroom and like heard a voice, but it was just like it was something from the YouTube video, right? But it was still really creepy. It was like the sound of a bird going like whoo-hoo. But in that moment,
maybe
I remembered
was an owl.
Maybe there was an owl, and I've since walked out. Because I thought it was a voice that went like, "Who are you?" And it was really scary. But I've since walked out at night just to be like, "Anything here?" to listen for a voice. There's been nothing since.
There's a great book I think that you would enjoy if you ever want to examine it further. It's called Surviving Death by a Pulitzer Prize nominated New York Times investigative journalist named Leslie Kean.
Way to bust out the credentials.
She's a very agnostic skeptic, and she wanted to go on a journey to see if there was any scientific credence to the idea that the human soul, or whatever that may be, I'm putting that into it. But if there is any plausibility to life after death. And so, when you brought up that you went on a numerology reading that hit a couple cue points, the book is kind of divided into 3 parts. One, she sort of develops into works into a way to people. Well, I'm getting so ahead of myself. But like researching psychical research, which was a big thing run by the CIA. So there's a lot of hard data there. And then she did a lot of research into these young children that had these past life recalls that were really unexplainable, and especially when they get so detailed in some of these past life recalls that they had. And then the third part of the book is she goes on these medium quests. So she meets with these different mediums, and she has a few secrets in her pocket that nobody could really know. And when a few of these mediums hit on it, so she sort of has to confront the idea that there's something here, that there's something more to this. So she kind of left away going, I don't know what it is, but there's something at play here. There's something more than just, something more.
It's called Surviving Death.
Yeah, it's called Surviving Death by Leslie Kean.
Yeah, I mean those I did a project in 6th grade on reincarnation.
Yeah,
I think we were
so
studying. I
weird.
want to say we were studying like the culture of India.
A lot of it comes from India, probably like more percentage wise than any other place on Earth.
And I chose reincarnation because at the time I was very interested in the paranormal. And some of those past life recall stories are
they're absolutely wild.
Fascinating.
And they usually take place with children between the ages of like 2 and 7. And once they get past 7, they start to sort of lose
when
those
the new
memories.
Personality fully develops and settles in.
Yeah,
right.
But
they
it's
can't
strange.
remember their previous life.
So should I have you asked your kids like, hey, do you remember another life?
Well, I wasn't.
Where
in
were
Bain,
you before? Where were you before this?
I
think Bain Gibby was talking about that.
said it's a good thing to ask your kids, where were you before this? And I think I asked my kids that. They didn't come up with any great answers.
They're too old.
Yeah, they're too old.
So I should ask, when my daughter's like 2, be like, where were you before?
Right.
And if she's just like, I was a countess, and then I was burned. Like, there's the thing.
You got an answer.
Holy shit.
All right. Before we head over to the old L files, Bryce, did you bring in some
BCC news? Yes, I did. I brought in something I was been following a little bit in the news. It's not too paranormal in nature, but it's
strange.
It's very strange.
It's in our skies.
Yeah, it's in our skies. Have you guys heard about this drone mystery that's taking place in northern Colorado and parts of Nebraska?
And Kansas now. They're showing up in Kansas, too, western Kansas.
I will say alien stuff, just to say, doesn't feel in the same vein to me as other paranormal things.
Sure.
Because there are aliens out there. Or there's extraterrestrial life out there. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I would agree with that. This is so this comes from this is a thing that's been happening around the time of December. This article is called "A Big and Bizarre Drone Mystery is Unfolding in Rural Colorado." It was by Tyler Rogaway out of the Drive Warzone media site. He says, the sparse expanses of northeast Colorado have become ground zero for a bizarre mystery surrounding sightings of nighttime coordinated flights of groups of drones. From roughly around 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every night last week, an estimated 17 drones with 6-foot spans have flown grid patterns over Phillips County and near its border with neighboring Yuma County. According to Phillips County Sheriff Thomas Elliott, the drones operated a few hundred feet in the air and were brightly lit with strobing colored and white lights, leaving local residents and those driving through the area baffled. Now, the Denver Post was the first to report on the string of strange sightings. Local law enforcement, the FAA, DEA, U.S. Army, and the Air Force have said they have no idea as to what these aircraft are or who they belong to. The Denver Post writes, the sheriff's office can't explain where the drones are coming from or who is flying them. The estimated size and number of drones makes it unlikely that they're being flown by hobbyists. And there was a later report that came out after January. CBS, a lot of these local news are covering it, but so they put together a task force with over 75 different agencies. Now that's got to say, like, you know, when you get that many agencies involved trying to tackle this, what's obviously something, all you got to do is like shoot one of these things down and find out who's flying them, right? But
well, get a load of this.
Yeah.
This might add to some of the mystery because this is from the Denver Post, January 8th. The Phillips County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday abruptly pulled back from a previous claim that the authorities were looking for a command vehicle that might be controlling the drone witnesses have reported flying nighttime patterns in Colorado and Nebraska. Saying that in a Facebook post that the command vehicle information was no longer pertinent or relevant. They were looking for basically a van that had an antenna that they thought there might be like a rogue series of technical anarchists hanging out in. So they said, the statement says, the Phillips County Sheriff's Office is not the task force, and our jurisdiction does not extend past Phillips County, Colorado, before adding that the office would no longer be making public statements about the drone situation.
Interesting.
What is going on?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing, right? So residents are like calling in and they're seeing these things at night and going,
it's a bunch of 14-year-olds.
Yeah, but these are like 6-foot drones that weighing over 55 pounds. So you'd actually have to have a commercial license to fly these.
And they're
operate
sure
them.
it's like huge 6-foot drones.
Well, and they're running in grid patterns too, right? So they're running in like what's called like a surveillance grid pattern.
Like
they
information.
Information. And
like in grids.
and I was just at Universal Studios where I saw that Harry Potter like thing flown by the drones. It
Listening.
was incredible. So it's like 50 drones.
You have my attention
and
again.
they use like a beehive mentality, right? So it's like all the drones communicate with each other to create these huge designs in the sky. And they can animate them, and it's absolutely incredible. But so many people, so conspiracy theories are abound as to who's flying these drones, why are there so many, what are they doing, and why are there so many agencies involved that can't get to the bottom of this? This has gone on almost 2 months now, and you think it would, if it was something as physical as all these drones in the sky, and these residents have video cameras of them. You can see them out. They come out quite regularly, but
by the
they're
time
having a hard time getting to the bottom of this.
Yeah, and by the time this episode airs, there might be more information out there, so we will keep you guys
Well, I wanted
posted.
to throw off my conspiracy theory.
Okay.
So you know how like Greer and To the Stars Academy is sort of getting everybody ready to accept the idea of an alien invasion as the next big war, right? So what if some secret black ops agency is running these training drills for their drones to like simulate or emulate?
Taking a playbook play out of the Watchmen playbook, are they?
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Well, if you've ever read Alan Moore's Watchmen and seen the HBO series.
I haven't seen the series, but read it.
Dude, the series is great. That's straight out
Well,
of
there
that.
you go. But anyway, that's
All
the
right.
drone mystery.
Cool. Well-
Interested in that.
I will tell you one thing that changed my life a little bit in the past 2 years. The one time I've gotten really into something where I was like, this might have legs. I got really into a podcast about RFK's assassination.
Oh, yeah.
It's called the RFK Files.
Yes.
And like it was compelling because there was a lot of compelling stuff about mind control throughout it. And then suddenly the guy who hosts the podcast is like, never mind, it's all bullshit. But to a certain point where I actually don't know how he got, there was such compelling evidence. Anyway, it was really interesting because it's, and this isn't even like, because there's evidence that you can control someone's mind if you repeated hypnosis or whatever. That's not like pseudoscience.
And we know that the CIA ran a program called MK Ultra,
Right.
which was basically a forced ritual initiation, and then they just let these people back onto the streets.
which is so insane that MK Ultra was a real thing and like
Absolutely real.
So, but in this case, if you listen to this podcast, Sirhan was a member of this kind of cult called the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
And there's
Now
the
we're
girl in the
listening.
polka dot dress who ran out and said we shot him or whatever. And I really like listening to this podcast and the evidence it presented and coming to my own conclusions. I'm like, I don't think it was like the CIA, but I do think it sounds like he was mind controlled by like this cult to shoot RFK. Like that seemed very actually plausible in listening to this. So that was like an interesting moment where I really started learning about like mind control.
So many questions still about the whole JFK thing, the RFK thing. There's so many rabbit holes that one could go down.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been listening to an occult author named Peter Levenda. He has some amazing connections to occult groups and workings of that these people have actually first handshake connections to guys that knew RFK and Lee Harvey Oswald, and it's all so strange. And getting to the bottom of it just seems like an endless soup of like.
Yeah, maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Maybe it's just time to move forward.
But I
Focus on
like
my
that. But I
auditions.
gotta say, I like I've always liked conspiracy theories, and I still find them very compelling because they're not out of the realm of possibility.
Sure.
You're talking about conspiracies of human beings, so there's nothing magical about that per se.
It's such a taboo word, but the actual definition of a conspiracy is just more than one person plotting something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they happen all the time.
It's just that some of them will start to go, and they did it because they were Satanists.
Yeah, they
worshiping
can go off the
Satan,
rails
and then
a little bit.
They can get really off
Well,
the
the other
rails.
big problem, and I think this is something between me being a woman and not liking how every woman's magazine has horoscopes, right? So it's assumed that women are associated with what is technically a pseudoscience. That I think it's a I think sometimes it leads women astray. But also, as a Jewish
Total
person,
Aries.
a lot of
Total Aries.
But I think a lot,
Classic
when you
Aries.
get into magical thinking, and that includes conspiracy theories, a lot of roads lead to the Jews. Any conspiracy theory or even like magical witchcraft, it's Jews. And so I think I also have a natural wariness of
As you
conspiracy
should.
theories, because I'm like,
Absolutely.
I know where you're going to go with this, and it's going to end up with the Jews. And I got to say, like, we're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of Jews. I mean, I was raised pretty secular, so, like, if there was, like, an Elders of Zion, I might not be in. But, like, I know a lot of people who are, like,
Hey,
I know various
you're
rabbis.
climbing up the ranks of liberal Hollywood right now.
That's the thing is, like, if there was a thing I would get invited, I'd like to think, through my publicist. And I got to say, like, there's nothing.
Everyone is just a flake out here, guys.
But it's
And they're
also
the
just
fans
fucking-
of the same things we're fans of.
But it's capitalism. That's what it is.
Yeah.
This cult of the rich. People are like, oh, it's the Illuminati. No, it's the cult of the rich. It's capitalism. Jeffrey Epstein isn't worshiping Satan. Jeffrey Epstein has a lot of money.
Yeah.
And young girls.
Or a little bit of both.
Oh, that he's also worshiping Satan.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think so.
think so.
No.
Hey, man, leave Satan out of this, all right?
Yeah.
Aren't Satanists actually like they're like humanists, right? If you're like a Satanist,
I'm not as gross as that guy.
There's different Satanists.
Ew.
I'd kill for my own island. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it's time for your listener files. All right, everybody, we're back. And before we get into the L Files, I realized that Rachel Bloom, you've never played a game that we invented after your appearance on the show.
Oh, right.
I think we know how most of this is going to go.
But there might be one or two in there.
And we got to play
We got to know.
bullshit.
Or believe it.
oh yes, I've heard this game, but I never
Yes.
played it.
All right, so you know how this goes. I'm going to go down a list. If you believe it, you say believe it. If it's bullshit, you say bullshit. There's no
Great.
in between.
Great
On your mark. Get set. Ghosts.
bullshit.
UFOs.
Bullshit.
Bigfoot.
Bullshit.
Little gray aliens.
Bullshit.
Out-of-body experiences.
I mean, believe it because that's your mind does that sometimes.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Bullshit.
Alien abductions.
Bullshit.
Loch Ness Monster.
Believe it
Time
with a
travel.
caveat that I'll explain later.
travel.
Wow.
Time travel.
Bullshit.
Mothman.
Bullshit.
Reincarnation.
Fuck. Bullshit.
ESP.
Bullshit.
Haunted houses.
Bullshit.
The Illuminati.
Bullshit.
There's a face on Mars.
I mean, bullshit.
Skunk ape.
What the fuck is
Okay,
bullshit?
we'll come back to that with another
I
segment.
love the reaction
Heaven.
to skunk apes.
What?
Heaven.
Bullshit.
Hell.
Bullshit.
Sea serpents.
I mean, bullshit. Again, I'll explain my Loch Ness
Poltergeists.
Bullshit.
Chupacabra.
Bullshit.
Atlantis.
Bullshit?
Life on other planets.
Believe it.
Parallel dimensions.
Believe it.
The apocalypse.
Bullshit.
Life after death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
nice.
was great. I
Okay,
really enjoyed that.
I once watched like a I think a Nova special on the Loch Ness Monster where they put sonar under Loch Ness and they did catch something under Loch Ness. So the idea that there is something there,
They think it's a
something's going
giant
on.
eel right now. Scientists think there's a giant eel down
Have
there.
you ever heard of the theory? Do you know who Aleister Crowley is?
I was just about to bring up Aleister Crowley. Yeah.
There's some great.
Haven't I always told you, let them bring up Alistair? Crowley?
But there's some great talks and information about how he was doing
Information. He's got a trunk full of pamphlets.
Michael, you tell this one good, right? So he was working some sort of ritual. It was called the.
He lived in a house in Inverness near a big old mansion that later Led Zeppelin lived in.
Yeah,
hung
he
out
bought
in.
that mansion.
But he lived in this mansion and he was doing all these occult rituals. And some people think that he opened up a portal and summoned something that might be the Loch Ness Monster. 'Cause
I
it
wanna see
started-
that movie.
It started appearing shortly after Aleister
Yeah, this
Crowley
is right
had been
around
there.
1933, and he left midway during this sacred ritual that he was performing. It was a 6-month-long ritual that he was undertaking, and he had left midway through it, leaving some sort of portal open. And it was right around that time that people started seeing this Loch Ness monster. And not only that, when he came back, he ended up selling the house, but that house ever since has remained sort of haunted, and strange things happen around the house.
Bought it.
Jimmy Page.
It wasn't
bought
Robert
the house.
Plant. I think it was Jimmy Page.
That's right. Yeah.
And weird shit started happening to Led Zeppelin around then. They got into all that crap, and it was wild.
Here's the thing: in my head, I'm saying bullshit. In my heart, you're not. I'm not spending the night in that house.
Yeah. Right.
It hasn't translated to my actual emotions. This it really is a fight between my head and my heart. There's I'm not going to go to Aleister Crowley's mansion in Scotland and do a seance.
No, totally.
You could not pay me. Actually, our friend who was the assistant prop master on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, our friend Manuel.
Yes.
He does this amazing.
Shout out Manuel.
Shout out to Manuel. He is on an active campaign for me to name my daughter after him, and I don't know if it's a bit or not. But I'm not naming her Manuel. But anyway, we were at his house. He every year for Halloween he does his house up amazing. Basically, it's a mix of just a really good haunted house and then the haunted mansion from Disneyland. It's beautiful.
All in his front yard.
It's
rad.
unbelievable, and it's this place in the valley. He's the only one decorating his house on his street. Anyway, he's giving us kind of a tour of the different stuff, and he brings out these 2 red light fixtures. Did he tell you about
candelabras.
these? Yes,
Yeah.
the candelabras. So he's like, yeah, I got these from a funeral home.
Are they sconces or candelabras?
I think they're sconces.
Okay, fair enough.
But he's like, so I got these from he's like, these are in my bedroom. I took these from a funeral home that had been around since the 1920s, and ever since I put them in my bedroom, I started to hear voices.
Oh, fuck that.
But my wife now sleeps in another room, but I really like them. And
he got them from the Mystic Museum in Burbank.
Oh shit!
And we were all like,
that is a
Manuel,
haunted
what
object.
are you doing? Even us, all 4 of us visiting, were like, we're not ghost people. We were like, dude, those sconces are haunted.
Dude, if your wife leaves the bedroom, she's like, I'm not sleeping in this fucking bed another night.
He's self-haunting, and so he's like, you guys can touch it if you want. And my husband, he was like, nope, you're pregnant. You are not touching that. You are not making.
See?
So there's something very visceral. He would not let me go near those candles with a baby in my
definitely.
belly.
That's a good husband.
Yeah.
Sea serpents. You said, believe it.
But no,
with-
I think I said bullshit because we would know what they are by now, and also things that they thought were sea serpents are now that's when you start to get into any of this stuff is theoretically, once it's proven, it's not paranormal anymore.
Yeah.
And that's especially with cryptozoology, all this stuff. If we could prove if someone found a chupacabra, suddenly it wouldn't be pseudoscience anymore. It would just be a science. It would just be look at the chupacabra.
Yeah.
Well,
so
that's what Bryce is trying to do with Bigfoot right now on
Right.
Expedition Bigfoot.
Thank you.
You can catch up on all 8 episodes of Expedition Bigfoot from the Travel Channel now.
Have you found Bigfoot?
We got. Yes, I'll just say yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy shit! I should watch this.
I will put it like this. We came across an evidence package that leads to a conclusion that we found something, and it all culminates in this thermal video that our team member Russell took, and it's of this bipedal creature. We've had it analyzed by the world's preeminent primatologist, who literally said with me on Skype, he was like, "It looks like something is very far from its home in Africa that shouldn't be here." And this is a guy that spent time with every primate in the world. So I don't know. And and we found hairs, we found a nest, we found some footprints. We got a vocalization that was analyzed by a Hollywood monster engineer who creates monster effects for big budget movies. He was able to detect harmonics lower than 20 hertz, which humans aren't capable of, or neither is any of the wildlife that dwells or inhabits the Pacific Northwest. So when you put all this evidence together, it creates a composite picture that says, in my mind, that we captured something. Now, is it a what's known as, Bigfoot, which, natives have been describing for close to up to 1,000 years? I don't know, but it's certainly promising that we captured something. It wasn't human. It wasn't a bear. So it's very strange.
I mean, it's interesting because it really is riding that line between what's paranormal and what's not, because what you're talking about is we're describing as like a potentially like just a species of ape.
Yep.
That we don't know about.
Yeah.
Living in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, same thing in the Yeti, right?
Yeah, the Himalayan version.
So like when is that pseudoscience and when is that just like an undiscovered creature?
Well, it's
when a body ends up on the lab table.
The hidden hominids, what do they call them on the show? The
relic hominid
relic
theory.
hominids, because there's also like that little those hobbit skeletons.
Yeah,
that
Homo
they found.
floresiensis. This is a hobbit that was found in a cave on the island of Florensis, and
it had been part of the folklore for generations.
Indigenous people have been
Scientists thought it
describing
was
a
bullshit.
small hairy creature that inhabited the island, and it was all like just hearsay until they discovered the bones in a cave.
In like 2007, I think.
that's all.
So what was it?
So it's relic hominid. It's like Neanderthal or Gigantopithecus.
Oh my God.
Our vision of the ancestral tree is that picture that we see where the chimp gets bigger and bigger until it's a walking man. This is not the case.
Yeah,
forget
what
the
we're
part,
learning right now.
You forget the part, sir, where Jesus touches that chimp and then a man grows
that is
out
not
of
in the
chimp.
poster. But what we know now is that our ancestral lineage, our ancestral tree is up for grabs. And we are discovering new ancestral relics all the time.
Yeah.
And
have you read Sapiens?
I have it on my desk.
It's because this is all he talks about is,
you know what, Bryce, that's close enough.
You have it on your desk. But this is what he talks about, where that it's not we picture it's right. That's that evolution chart. It's no. Homo sapien was one of many Homo of the I guess it's not Jesus, it's not species. It was one of many, and sapiens slaughtered everyone else, but all of us have Neanderthal DNA.
We were like the chimpanzees of all of these. We were the war tribe, like basically,
and we killed everyone.
Yeah, well, and that's another big misnomer, is that only one of these species of hominid lived at the same time. But now what we know as fact is that there were multiple hominids living at and around the same time
until Jesus turned Middle Earth into Jerusalem.
So yeah, I mean, history is up for grabs.
Christian Tolkien
it really
mythology.
is.
You guys should go on take this podcast on like a tour of all of the great. Well, I was going to say of all the great religious places, but you would be more like you should record in
Willow Creek, California.
All the most haunted places.
Yeah, we want to go to paranormal and UFO hotspots. Okay, we have to get the listener files, but before we do, because you asked who Skunk Ape was, it's a new rule that if a guest says what Skunk Ape, Bryce has 60 seconds to pitch Skunk Ape.
Okay, pitch me Skunk Ape.
Hold on.
Oh my God, I gotta get my phone ready.
I've got the pictures out.
Okay, great.
Riley, you going to time this?
Yeah, I'll time it.
Okay,
right,
I got the pictures out.
I mean, I can guess what it might be.
Well, 60 seconds to pitch Skunk Ape.
Okay.
Go.
So the skunk ape is like an eastern version of the Bigfoot that people have been seeing and describing in the swamps of Florida. Now, an old lady wrote a letter anonymously to her local sheriff's department saying, there is a creature that has been stealing my apples, and it's dangerous. Don't those things carry hepatitis? Did somebody lose an orangutan? She thought it was an orangutan, right? But there's no orangutans in Florida. Anyway, so one night she goes out with her camera. It's completely dark. She takes 2 pictures, and she couldn't see anything, but with the flash, she was able to see it. So there's 2 pictures. Michael, show her the pictures. This is one. And as she says,
you can scroll
she
through.
says, as you'll see, you'll see. She says, as you'll see, it starts to get bigger on the second picture, so you can see the creature actually starting to stand up. And look at the teeth. Look at the reflection in the eyes, which is known as tacitum lucidum.
15 seconds.
So this is a living biological creature. It's not an orangutan, but this goes along with so many reports of what people know and call the skunk ape.
5 seconds.
That was very good. This
wow,
is really,
you came in under the clock this time.
It looks
bro.
exactly
Well done.
like Harry and the Hendersons.
Totally.
Yeah,
like
longer,
exactly.
shaggier Harry.
I mean, it looks exactly like an orangutan.
It's a crazy picture, though.
Wow. It looks like someone has like a pet orangutan that maybe got out. I don't know, man, but it's compelling.
There you go.
This picture's pretty cool.
That was one of your best rounds yet, bro.
Oh,
Good job, Bryce.
Really
good.
tightened that up.
Did he sell it?
You really sold
Are
it.
you going to green light skunk ape?
I still think it might be a pet, but like I believe that there's something there. So
Yeah,
I believe
there you
I believe in a form of skunk ape. Yes.
There you go.
Cool,
There
cool.
you go.
We're
I'll take
interested.
that.
We'll talk to you soon.
We'll test skunk ape
okay,
in front of some
You
executives
have your skunk ape spiel down. You were like, I'm not ready. Anyway,
Okay, well, here we go. Here we go.
the setting is 1936.
All right. When we come back, we will have your listener stories from the L Files.
Sweet.
So we're starting yet again.
Let's
No.
start over.
I
I
think
say
you
we
should
keep moving.
I think you should play that and then just be like, never mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, hey, thank
Yeah.
you. And, well, she might have had a panic attack when she started hearing it roll.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So,
To
okay,
Holly,
all
yeah.
right.
But-
Okay,
Can
let's
we
do...
recap what just happened?
all right, let's
All
just
right, we're
pick
back.
up from the top. Hold on.
To recap what just happened, we were about to listen to a voice memo from a fan story, but within the first 10 seconds, she said that she doesn't feel comfortable with the story being played on the podcast.
Sorry,
What a waste of everything.
got-
Don't say her name.
God damn it, Michael.
Don't say
I
her name.
didn't say her last name. But
That's
we
the
know...
beauty of not screening before we go live.
Don't worry. Your secret's safe with us.
Everyone's story is
Okay.
going to be like, please don't share this
Let's
on the
do this.
podcast.
It's the last line.
Let's kick it off with a good old-fashioned written letter. This one's just called L Files, and it's from Daniel. Here we go. Hey, Michael, Bryce, Riley, and guest Rachel Bloom. I love the show and discovered your show over the summer when I was looking for something to help me with an itch for the paranormal. Your show helped me realize that I have a few encounters with the paranormal, though I will only share one today. In the summer of 2010, in Syracuse, New York, I was a teenager with my very first girlfriend. Enjoying I want to read this like an old man. In the summer of 2010 in Syracuse, New York, I was a teenager with my very first girlfriend.
Guys, Riley is hand scoring this on a tiny little keyboard.
cutest little keyboard.
So the whole time he looks like a giant playing a piano. It's the most charming thing.
He's pan on his flute.
He's so tall. The keyboard's so little.
so tiny.
Go on.
Maybe we should get a picture of that.
Syracuse, New York, 2010. Enjoying the spoils of young love, we would often try to find privacy away from our parents to take part in quote-unquote activities. One of the spots would find privacy away from our parents would be in the car at the local DMV.
That works.
In his car. Going down to the DMV? There you go. The DMV that we would go to at night is located next to an airport and a major interstate highway. One night, when I was in the front seat and my girlfriend was in the back seat getting herself together.
Hot.
Yes, it's hot. I'm just going to slip into something a little more comfortable.
I don't want to look at you. Get in the back seat. I don't want to sit up front. I don't want to look at you.
He gave her a dirty rag. Was like, wipe it up.
Wait, is that pre or post? But
Either way.
you wipe it up before, and you then wipe it up after.
Well,
No questions now.
I spilled some Coke.
The Coke woman, not you.
You wipe it up first. She was masturbating.
she's in the back seat. He says, I looked out at the stars and noticed 3 stars that were brighter than the others. What was very peculiar was that those stars formed a triangle. As soon as I noticed them, they started to move with each other. Though I thought this was strange, it got even stranger. The stars would stop while one would move, then one star would stop and the 2 others would move while the whole time it would keep the triangle shape. I could not believe what I was seeing and called for my girlfriend to see this all the way in the back of my limousine. No, I added the limousine part.
Oh, okay.
I called for my girlfriend to see this. She jumped in the front seat and saw what I was seeing. I wanted to stay, but she quickly got scared and made me leave the DMV. Though we were next to the airport, I am for sure it was not an airplane, and I often question if it was helicopters, but I do not believe that either. It felt like it wanted me to see it, and I do not think helicopters would have scared my girlfriend like that.
Totally.
I have a few other UFO stories and ghost stories and hope to write in again. Love the show, and I'm always interested in the stories I hear from y'all. Danny.
Wow.
Thanks, Danny. That was exciting on multiple levels.
Man,
classic black triangle.
Classic. And then classic black triangle that separates and rejoins. And the one thing I'm always fascinated too, and I've experienced it myself, but when you see something weird, you get this strange feeling that it's communicating with you. It's showing itself to you, for you. It's strange.
Oh, I have two things to add. That was interesting. I said that like a child. On that same trip to Arizona we went to Sedona. And we wanted to go on a UFO tour, but the lady never showed up. So
abducted?
Maybe. Or she was taking a nap.
Case solved.
So there were two things. The first one was that we were on a night vision tour of wildlife, and we had night vision goggles on, and we looked over a ridge, but we were right near an Air Force base, and we saw this like repeating glow. But the thing is, we were near an Air Force base.
Yeah.
So like, it was like, oh, that's creepy, but also like we're near an Air Force base, so there's something from there.
Yeah.
So that was like mildly creepy. But then the thing that I wanted to share was we were on this Jeep tour of like these Sedona rocks, and I asked our tour guide, "You live in Sedona, have you ever had a paranormal experience?" And he said, "Let me tell you a story." He basically he'd go out camping in this one spot, and repeatedly he would see a glow, this kind of nebulous glow that would come towards him and then away from him, towards him and away from him. It was the most bizarre thing ever. And finally one night he was like, fuck it, I'm going to approach this glow. And what he realized was it was a bunch of fireflies that were catching the light from the fire, but it looked like this paranormal glow. But like when he found out it was the fireflies, it almost made it more beautiful.
Yeah.
Because he never realized that fireflies could come in clusters like that and catch a glow like that.
Yeah.
But fireflies?
And listen.
They're from Venus.
Okay.
Most of these things have a pretty good explanation for what they are. You know what I mean? Even in Project Blue Book, J. Allen Hynek found that, 90% of these cases could be attributed to something very real, like misidentification of a planet, a plane. But it was those cases, those 10% of those cases, and really just the one or two or three that just absolutely, positively could not be explained.
And he still doesn't say therefore they're from outer space.
Yeah,
but they're just unexplainable.
That's the thing, man. All it takes is one to make it true, not 100. So very
100
strange.
would help.
100 would
Have
help.
you heard? Well, there's that radio signal that's coming from a
Yes.
pretty nearby galaxy that they're trying to analyze.
Yeah, absolutely.
You sent that to Riley and I this week. The article
Yeah,
about
it was a fast radio burst.
And I was surprised because you always get angry about radio signal studies because you're like, stop looking in an old-fashioned
They don't use
way.
radio, man. Come on, I know, but it was So they're still kind of puzzling over what that may be.
Really cool.
It is very cool, and it did come from SETI, which is what they do. They look for radio signals from deep outer space.
All right, what do you got for us, Bebop?
I got something called Fish, Women, and Water Babies. Sounds like it's right up my alley. Hey, guys, my name is Michael, longtime listener and big fan here. I've been chatting with Riley on and off on the Instas and told him I'd send in some stories.
This dude's awesome.
Sweet.
We've been chatting.
Oh, there you go. I just want to say that you guys bring a much-needed, lighthearted, yet critical view to the world of high strangeness. So, thank you. Right off the bat...
So far, this guy does sound awesome.
There you go.
He's totally cool.
Right off the bat, you need to know that my family on both sides has been practicing witchcraft since the Basque witch trials, and as a consequence, I kind of grew up with a magic realism frame of mind. Like both of my grandmothers, read tarot and practiced varying degrees of folk magic. As I got older, I took up their practices when they stopped. Even though I practice witchcraft, I'm a skeptical believer because I don't want every Sasquatch story I hear to turn out being a bear or a ghost or being an old house in grief. So, I've noticed that Bryce is like the only podcaster that takes mermaids even remotely seriously. Thank you. I have a story that I've only told a few people in person, and I've spoken to with some of the more high strangeness podcast hosts. I'm glad you feel comfortable with me sharing your mermaid story. Ever since I was little, I've had a deep, pun intended, fascination with mermaids. Like, it doesn't matter if they're beneficial medicine teachers or carnivorous monsters. I love them. Here goes my first story. A while back, I think I was like 10 or 11, my dad took us to Yosemite. We had been there basically all day, and we didn't head home until the sun was setting or had completely set. I can't remember if the moon was full or not, but there was enough light to see a lot out of the car windows. I can't remember exactly where there was a bit of traffic, but I looked out the window at one of the pools on the Merced River, and I saw a woman's head break at the surface.
Whoa.
Her head bobbed for a few seconds, then went under. A few more moments pass, and she doesn't come up. I look around for a tent and can't find one near us. To this day, I'm convinced I saw one of the Miwok fishwomen. A few years ago, I started to have dreams about them, and now I treat them like just another one of my patron spirits and leave them meat on the riverbank or drop it over on one of the bridges on the river. If their appearance in my dreams is what they really look like, then the simply half-human, half-fish description is only vaguely accurate. My second story is way creepier. I live between highways 152 and 140 and around wetland bird sanctuaries with some deep creeks and sloughs. Every now and then, a group of friends and I would go out to this long road that lead to some of the ponds that were maintained for duck hunting. We'd go for many hikes or just generally explore the area. On this particular outing, the sun was just starting to set, and the egrets were coming back to the trees to roost, so we knew it was time to go home before the coyotes started coming out. We were about half a mile from the car, and all of a sudden, we hear a bunch of coyotes start to sing. We get a little scared and just start talking louder so they avoid us. The coyotes howl again, and it sounds way closer this time. In the middle of the howl, we hear this deeply creepy gurgle. It sounded like a baby crying mixed with a toad croaking, and the coyotes immediately stop their own sounds. We pick up the pace and just book it back to the car. The sound starts up again, and now the sound sounds way closer, but the car seems to be the same distance away. A barn owl screeches, and then all of a sudden, we're like maybe 20 feet from the car, and it's now completely dark. I am convinced the owl was my familiar spirit animal guide, whatever you want to call it, and that we heard the water babies. They're Yokut mermaids that take the shape of human toddlers with either reptilian or fish-like features like super sharp teeth, sometimes tails, other times scales on their arms and legs. I do have a question for you guys. Do you think there's a Bigfoot? Do you think there's Bigfoot the animal and Sasquatch the spirit? Native Californians knew of coyote as an animal, but coyote was still an incredibly important spirit to them. I do have experiences with the hairy man, but they were deaf more of the spiritual, unseen nature. Sorry for the novella, guys, but let me know what you think. Wow. Well, there you go.
What? Is there a PS?
Oh, is there a PS? Let me see. No PS. Oh. Well, I'll tell you this. It's interesting. What a great couple of stories. As far as the natives, do I think there's a difference between Bigfoot the animal and Sasquatch the spirit? On the native totem poles, every animal on there had a place in their habitat, and they weren't quote unquote spiritual or mythological creatures. So if on the totem they had an eagle, then they felt that the eagle was sacred. The toad, the coyote. So if Sasquatch was a spiritual or mythological creature, it'd be the only one represented in the totem poles of indigenous North Americans to be in that zone of a mythological or spiritual creature. That being said, there are some native tribes that felt that Sasquatch did have one foot in the spirit world and one in the physical world. But no, to the natives, it was a real physical creature, not one of mythology, not one of lore, not one of legend, but an actual real creature. And as far as the mermaid thing goes, man, that's fascinating. I've never heard of the what did you call them going back?
The Miwok fishwomen?
The Miwok fishwomen.
I don't think I have either. We definitely talked about water babies at our FanX show in Salt Lake. But the Miwok fishwoman does seem to ring a bell. The Sasquatch thing is interesting because I'm reading finally almost finished. I finally sat down almost 2 years later to read the Life and Times, Bigfoot, The Life and Times of a Legend by Jason Blue Buss.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that.
And it's interesting because he sort of goes through all the origins of the narratives of Bigfoot. And Sasquatch is really, at one point, Sasquatch really just referred to the Bigfoot of like the BC area.
Yeah, it's a Sasket word. It was called Sasket.
And it could refer to a number of things: a spiritual hairy man, a wild man of the woods. Sometimes it was considered what some tribes would describe other tribes that they thought were feral or cannibalistic. And then the California Bigfoot was known as Bigfoot. And then over time, in the 50s, really, we started to blend those two terms together. So Sasquatch might actually have more of a connection to the spiritual side of the animal, because it's more of the natives people, First Nations word, whereas Bigfoot seems to be a more modern name and modern discovery of,
like so many of these terms, it was coined
California.
by a newspaper man.
Yeah, it's true.
And the word Sasquatch was actually mispronounced and misprinted. It comes from the British Columbian indigenous tribe, but they called it Sasket or something like that.
But, like Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But it ended up being coined Sasquatch by the newspaper man.
So Saskatchewan is
think
not
it's the
like
same.
land of the Sasquatches.
No. I don't think it's the same.
No,
root
it might
word.
not be,
I
but
don't
some of
think
those
so.
words might have a familiar proto-noun.
He said, P.S. Michael, have you looked into what spirits like you? Maybe all of your experiences lately have been their way of trying to talk to you. Well, now you sound like Adela Levine, our friend who's a medium and intuitive on the show, and I'll think about that. I haven't looked into that.
I do want to go to Adele.
I think that would be a fun experiment.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Did I tell you about the time when I did it for two reasons? One, my dad was an atheist. He recently passed away last year, and I wanted to go to Adela. Not only to kind of say to him, I told you so, as if there was something to the afterlife, but to see if she could actually, if I could get more evidence, more proof that all this stuff is for real. And I was pretty fucking blown away, man.
Yeah.
I kind of left going, man, that was weird.
You know, I always like to say, just to be like that I live my life, I call myself like a practical atheist, theoretical agnostic.
Yeah.
Like I live my day to day as if there's no, there's nothing out there, like, because that helps me be the best person. Theoretically, I am open to other things, but that feels very different from my like the practicality of how I live today.
Sure. Well, you said you believed in parallel worlds. Who's to say some of this stuff isn't bleeding over from
That's like
another...
always been my thought and my theory about some of this is that if parallel universes are, scientists talk about them all the time, who's to say that you're not hearing things or seeing things that are just like bleeding over from the bubble universe right next to it?
Who else is say that like maybe our consciousness when we die slips into one of those parallel dimensions?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's a type of dimension that we don't understand.
Think of it like this too. Perhaps the brain is a receiver, like a radio, you know, and all you got to do is tune to another frequency. And some of these abstract frequencies are
let's do that twist
are coming over, and we're picking up the
frequency
signal.
your brain's tuned to.
all the time.
Rachel, you have a letter in front of you there?
I do. This is going to be a scary story, I think.
All right.
This is called Up We Fucked Up Major from Alex.
Oh, shit.
Hi, Bryce and Michael. I have never said this story to anyone, even my fiance before, so I apologize for this long email of this. Sorry, it says, so I apologize for the long email of this. I want to get his wording correct. I found you guys through Ask Eliza Anything, and I have been binge listening. My story is about a demon that we accidentally let into our house.
Oh, no.
I'm the youngest of 3 with 2 older brothers. On my second oldest brother's 13th birthday, we played with a Ouija board. It was homemade and terrible. I did not touch it, but I did watch as his friends played. They never got any responses after an hour until one of his friends thought he'd be funny and ask, any demons around? Oh, All of a sudden, the power went out in the house, except the TV, which was off, turned on. We all screamed, and the game ended without ever closing it.
Okay.
After that, I had nightmares for years about my family's souls being taken and tormented, and mine as well. A shadow man would make noises all throughout the night and just torment my mom and me. Oh, I guess this is real. My mom was plagued with accident after accident. She, quote-unquote, fell downstairs at least once a month, had 5 major surgeries within 3 years with declining health in her late 30s. And I kept having accidents where I broke bones, developed rare genetic disorders, and feeling sick all the time. My brothers never had issues. Until one night, my mom all of a sudden started screaming at 3 a.m. I soon started to realize why it began happening to me. We both had scratches that felt like someone burned our skin. It was agony. I will never forget the feeling of my skin opening without seeing anything to make it happen. My scratch formed an M and hers was a T. My brothers' names were Mikey and Tyler. I freaked, thinking the demon was going to take them. We finally told my mom what happened with the board, 3 to 4 years after playing on his birthday. I thought she was going to kill us. We moved houses shortly after, and the new owners started having the same issues. They moved as well, and the house has been empty since. I still have nightmares to this day, 7 years later, as if the demon is still calling me back to that house. I will never step into that property again because I still feel the presence of the demon. Just waiting for my mom or I to make the mistake of coming back again. Love you guys in the podcast. Alex S.
Dude,
Wow. So scary.
Alex, that's the scariest letter we've ever gotten.
Wow.
Hey,
Sounds like a job for the Travel Channel.
I think you should talk to maybe locate a trusted
Exorcist?
medium or intuitive. I don't want to volunteer anybody, but somebody who can maybe close that up for you. Find maybe somebody who can shut that portal down for you. I think that can be done. You just need to talk to somebody who has some positive white magic and or intuitive abilities to shut that shit down.
Isn't that
for you.
crazy though that Parker Brothers still releases and makes the Ouija board and they sell it in the fucking kids toy section?
My grandma and I would
Kids
play
gotta
with it
learn,
all.
man.
My grandma and I would play with it all the
gotta learn.
time, and she would fake it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh
Like
my
I'd ask
God.
it questions, and I'd be like, "Grandma, you're doing something." She'd be like, "No, I'm not," but I knew she
Wow.
was. My
That's
friend
so
has a very, very creepy Ouija story.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
I've heard a lot of creepy Ouija
Yeah,
stories.
I've heard a lot of that's
Yeah.
they're crazy.
Do you want to share your friend's creepy Ouija story?
Yeah, didn't I share it last time I was on here? Because it's not mine.
I don't remember. Maybe you did on. I think you did on another podcast called "A Funny Feeling."
Oh, maybe that right because they
Go
let me
find it.
share
They're on
stories
there.
that yeah.
Yeah, go find
check
our
it out.
sister podcast.
Oh boy, that's scary, dude. Alex,
Yeah, I feel for you, man.
ignore the demon. He's got no power over you.
No,
Well, I mean, sounds like he does.
I mean, talk to somebody.
just to say, like, if this is all true and there is a demon,
devil's advocate here.
sounds like this is far from metaphorical.
All right,
Sounds like the demon is actively. If he's saying he developed rare genetic
get
disorders,
somebody to get that demon off your back.
go to a doctor.
Yeah.
And well, I think he's been to a
Oh,
doctor.
he's been to a lot of
Get a
doctors.
medium and intuitive to shut that shit down.
You need a witch doctor.
Do we want to play a voice memo?
Sure.
We have one from a listener. He's written in before. Listener James or Jimmy. You may remember him as the guy who was in the boat out in the middle of the lake. That
we all remember that
Remember
boat.
that boat that night. Here we go.
Hello, Bryce, Michael, and super producer Riley Bray.
Right.
It's your friend Jimmy from Michigan. Just wanted to leave a voice memo about a story that I have for you guys that I sent in an email, but I figured I could do a voice memo. So over the last 5 years before I moved back to Michigan, I managed this restaurant in Cleveland, Tennessee, a little north of Chattanooga, called Catch Bar and Grill. In my time there, I'd always heard, quick remarks from the owner and his friends about a ghost haunting the place. I never really thought much of it. I did have a few odd experiences during my time there. Just things I attributed to normal things like, I don't know. But I did feel sometimes like taps on the shoulder or erratic security sensor noises. There was one time I did see a door close by itself, and I grabbed a server because I was concerned that someone had entered the building after close. But upon investigating around the banquet room and where I thought the person had entered, no one was there. But when I put in my 2 weeks notice back in April, I began to notice some weird stuff. One night, it was a really busy Friday, probably the busiest I had worked during my time there. And there were just a lot of terrible people in the restaurant, you know, like just rude, rich, old people that just weren't very friendly. And I would say, like, there was a lot of negative energy flowing in the building. When I was standing near the register at the bar, all of a sudden there was this loud crash and a martini glass had fallen from the rack. And this had never happened before. And I was just looking at the rack, totally perplexed, because I did not know what caused this glass to fall. But I figured maybe it was like a slick surface, or I had maybe put too many glasses on it. But as I turned around to talk to a guest about it and start to say how weird it was that happened, all of a sudden, smash! Another glass falls and smashes right next to me. I was really frustrated because I had to burn the ice well in case any glass got in there. But I just couldn't believe that after examining them, that another one flew off the rack like that. A few nights later, when I was closing and in there by myself, I felt really uneasy. Every hair on my body was standing up. And I've been in this restaurant alone so many times by myself. And I've walked through there with all the lights off. I've never been bothered. But I just felt like something or someone was there with me. And the feeling was so intense, I just kind of like clenched up and I yelled out, "Fuck this!" And I locked up and just left without finishing my closing duties. I actually texted the owner afterwards and I said, "Hey, I'll come in early tomorrow because I had to leave. The building scared me." And he kind of joked back that it's because they don't want you to leave. I think he was just messing with me, of course, but it was still just really weird. So, in my last week there, a few nights after that incident, I was closing up with a server friend of mine named Chloe, and I was telling her about some of the stuff that had been going on, and how this guy once told me that there was a ghost in the building that now housed our banquet room. And I said to her, "I don't even know if he's still alive." I was referring to the guy that told me the story. And right after I said that, we heard a man's low voice, very quickly, just like a low audible noise, say, "No."
No.
And I shot a look at Chloe and said, "Did you fucking hear that?" I mean, she grabbed the counter for support and like out of fear and replied to me, "What the fuck was that?" I checked all around to see if anyone was in there, and I ran outside to see if anyone was outside the door. But she confirmed exactly what I was thinking and said that, "No, I think that came from the door near the kitchen." Afterwards, I mean, I was so shook. I was nauseated. And Chloe and I had a few glasses of wine and kind of calmed down. But I mean, I cannot get over the fact that we both heard that voice say no. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that was. But when I left, I did smudge the building. And, because my friends work there and my co-manager closes up at night by herself. And I just really wanted to leave the restaurant and, that job feeling like I left them in good hands. So hopefully that helped. I will say this, when I visited back in October, I drove through on Sunday morning, and I passed the town to go straight to Chattanooga, but my friend Chloe sent me a picture of broken glass on the bar floor, and it was a juicer, like a glass juicer that you would kind of strain the juice out of an orange or something. And she told me that morning when I was driving through that glass juicer just flew off the bar and broke on the ground. And I don't know if that's because of my visit or what, but I just thought that was really weird, and I thought you guys would appreciate that story. Anyway, I'll try to send you some more stuff soon. All right. Peace and love, Lynn Frogman.
Yeah.
Get it? Love Lynn Frogman?
There you go.
Anyway, take care, guys.
Thanks for, I was going to say writing in, but calling in, I guess you could say. I like that the glass was like, the juicer was like, hey, that dude's back in town, smash. That's pretty cool.
I like to imagine this place is haunted by all like former shitty managers of a restaurant, which is one of the most horrifying things I can imagine.
Ghost, yeah.
I've had some really, when I worked in restaurants, I had some really shitty supervisors and managers, and the idea of like a building being filled with them, all just like yelling at you, like, "What do you mean you lost the Stetland reservation?
Now you gotta burn the ice well."
Yeah, like, and the idea that the
cuck.
haunted man. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Really developing this character of the manager.
So he's died recently.
Yeah. It was suicide.
Makes sense. Checks out.
Hung himself. Suicide's not a joke, guys. Sorry.
It's not.
It's late. We're punchy. Rachel Bloom. Last podcast you ever do?
No. I am glad. Man, it's going to be creepy walking out of here back down to my car.
I'll make sure you get home safe.
Thanks.
I'll follow you all the way home.
It's loaded.
In the back seat. Hey.
What did he talk about his girlfriend in the back seat getting herself together?
Yeah,
You'll be in the back seat getting yourself together.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be in the back seat cleaning up all the cum in my car. Not from you. There's just
before I got there.
Listen,
To
there's a
be
bunch
fair.
of cum in my car.
Yeah.
It's not from me. I need
Left it there
someone
on
to clean
purpose.
it.
All right, guys. Thanks for sharing your spooky stories with us and Rachel Bloom. Rachel, thanks so much for joining us for another
honor.
episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club, where, like Bigfoot, where in the woods can you be found?
Do you want a joke? Really? Do you want me to answer where I'd live if I lived in the woods?
You can. I just meant
You'd
it as
find
plugs.
me in a little lean-to by a lake.
Oh, I like
nice.
that.
Yeah.
And where can people find what you're working on?
Oh, you could just go on my Twitter.
Okay.
Rachel does stuff.
So
my
we got-
Instagram too.
When does Trolls come out?
Oh man, it comes out in early April. I'm not going to be able to do any press for it because that's right around the time I'm supposed to have a baby.
Wow.
That'll
So,
be
like,
fun.
I was
A
with my
baby and a
kids when we
movie.
were watching a movie, and you came up in the previews.
It's-
It was so cool.
It's really cool. Like,
I was like, I know that lady.
when you do, have you guys done any like voiceover?
Not on that scale.
Nah.
It's interesting because you're alone in a room and you only realize after the fact, like, oh my God, I'm in a movie with some really famous people.
Yeah.
Because you never see them.
Yep. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to take my kids. We're going to love it.
Absolutely. And then Cut and Run, the other podcast you're doing, check that out.
Yeah, it's a narrative podcast
Is that
I was
by
in.
Acker and Blacker?
It's Acker and Blacker, and it's with Audible.
Fantastic.
And it's me, Sam Richardson, Darcy Carden, and Tom Lennon. And it's narrated by Meg Ryan.
What?
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's
Check
insane.
that shit out.
And you just sold a show too, right?
I mean, this lady's on fire. And she's
crushing
about to push a baby out.
And I'm about to push a baby out, or have a baby ripped out of my stomach.
Either way, it's coming out of you one way or
support you.
another. Riley, it is the end of January. Anything to plug?
I mean, that's a tough act to follow, but I directed some content for Gibson's new YouTube channel. They're calling Gibson TV. There's a documentary on how the guitars are made, and also a acoustic series, people playing their songs. It's a lot more coming too that we're working on. Pretty excited about it, so check out Gibson's new YouTube channel.
Fantastic. And
you already plugged me beautifully earlier, but Expedition Bigfoot,
I'll
Sunday
plug
nights.
you.
Ken just lobbing that one across the plate. Huh?
10, 9 Central.
Every time, baby.
Clean it up, Michael.
Michael's in the back.
Yeah, I'll be in the back seat of the car getting it together. All right, everybody. I want to thank our guest one more time, Rachel Bloom, for being here. It's going to be a long time before she's on another podcast, so you better get it while you can. And until next week, I remain Michael McMillan for Bryce Johnson and Riley Bray. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed.
The art of you heightening that long story. It was so great.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. If you like the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps get the podcast to more listeners. To support the show, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club and unlock multiple reward episodes every month.
Hiya, I'm Hallie Labont from Mega the Podcast. I'm a weekend producer at Twin Hills, a fictional mega church in Broad Ripple, Indiana.
And I'm Gray Haas. I'm the youth pastor of our church's teen ministry called Climax.
On every episode of Mega the Podcast, we improvise with a new guest comedian playing a different character from our community.
Tune in and hear episodes with guests like Cecily Strong.
How would you me off? Sorry, am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
You know what? It's covered in the blood. Rory Scovel.
I said, hey, we could build houses, or we could build our faith in Christ out on a golf course.
Eliza Coop.
The way I plow the snow
Yeah.
is I'm not doing it by any other guidance except from God.
And Scott Adsit.
Physics is the proof of God. Because it's perfect.
Oh, well.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
We couldn't think of physics.
Right.
Only he could think of physics.
Isn't that right?
We're on Campfire Media.
Listen to Mega wherever you find podcasts.
Campfire.